The team on the Church of Scientology's Archival Project has spent years studying time's effect on material objects. Applying this expertise to create the archival-bound editions, Scientology's written scripture will now last more than 1,000 years. But the recorded lectures are still at risk. The team is already using the toughest archival-grade magnetic tape available, as well as special archival sleeves to prevent oxidation and deterioration. But the plastic-based tape is still fundamentally weak, and decay is unavoidable. It's a problem that threatens the entire audio industry.
There are a number of other institutions and groups that are trying to do very similar things, using modern technologies to try and store their most precious records, whatever it might be. Some of them are in digital technologies, but we know even those are unstable and unreliable.
The team turns to digital archiving, but finds that as sophisticated as digital technology is today, it is not yet a medium suitable for long-term archiving. So to preserve Mr. Hubbard's original recordings, they look to the world's oldest surviving recording medium, vinyl records. Traditional records are made using a mold to press audio grooves into a soft vinyl biscuit. Some of the earliest known records are still surprisingly audible, but the quality has suffered immensely. The weakness lies in the material itself, vinyl. The archival team needs something far stronger.
After testing with different gold and other types of plating materials, nickel definitely sounded the best.
Nickel is tough and resistant to corrosion. It is an ideal metal for an archival record, but it's too tough to press or to carve. The answer is electroforming. Electroforming uses positive and negative charges to break down pure metal balls into microscopic particles and draw them toward a metal base. This layer is then split off, creating an inverted copy. And by repeating the process with another layer of nickel, the team re-inverts the copy to create a playable archival nickel record. The process begins with a perfectly flat stainless steel disc, imported from the same mill that manufactures the backs of Rolex watches. The discs are electroplated with pure copper, creating a mirror-like surface that lends itself to perfect audio reproduction. The copper discs are then carved in the lathe studio. This high-precision machine operates independently on the shock-absorbent flooring, preventing external vibrations from degrading the sound quality. Pure nitrogen removes even the smallest particles. A single dust mote can distort the sound. The diamond tip cutter is positioned and checked under a microscope for accuracy and calibration. And the team carves a 1-minute sample into the record's edge. They test the quality against the digital file.
I'd like to tell you something of the story of Dianetics and Scientology. Some things I've never confided to anyone before.
Passing this test, the team cuts the lecture onto the plate. A helium stream cools the friction, and a tiny vacuum clears the copper. Completed and quality controlled, this record is now an official master. Back in the electroplating lab, the team creates the negative mold. This pass, however, will make the actual audio archive version of this lecture. The record is then electroplated again using nickel. This adds an ultra-thin layer of nickel as an airtight seal to preserve the record in mint condition. Pictograph instructions are laser etched into the seal, which is thin enough to peel away like aluminum foil, but durable enough to last the ages. The final result is an archival-grade audio recording that will survive at least 1,000 years. To truly preserve these materials into the future, the archival team must envision the future, and specifically, how will these records be played? So a player must be stored with the records. But with numerous moving parts, modern-day machines deteriorate quickly and break down without routine maintenance. And creating a player that could last as long as the records themselves will require NASA-level advances in playback technology. So that's exactly what they did. This is the Millennia Archival Player, designed by a former NASA electronics engineer and built specifically for the church's Archival Project. The nickel-plated record spins on a platter that's perfectly balanced on a precision-machined polished ruby bearing. Dense archival resin in the base minimizes environmental vibrations. And a polished diamond needle brings Mr. Hubbard's voice to life. The player can be plugged into an outlet. If no outlets, it runs on solar power. And if sun is hard to come by, then it can power up by hand crank. There are only 3 moving parts, and it requires no maintenance. It's the perfect complement to this audio archive, which has a total lifespan of at least 1,000 years, and likely much longer with proper storage conditions. The team now commits the written material, including all the transcripts for the films and lectures, to a form that is impervious to time. A solution they discovered in history itself. This acid-etched suit of armor is pristine after hundreds of years. These silver scrolls are legible after 1,300 years. And this lead book is almost 2,000 years old. The common denominator? Etched metal. But the team must determine which metal to use. Many samples are tried and ruled out, including marine-grade aluminum and space shuttle titanium, until they find this one, stainless steel number 304. The mining, chemical, and petroleum industries use this grade of steel because of its impenetrable nature. The team field tests it beyond the routine corrosion tests. They spray it for 6 solid days with salt water, then submerge it in sulfuric acid for 3 more days. Then they check the corrosion levels. There is no physical damage. It looks just the same as it did 9 days prior. This is the metal the team needs to complete the archival phase of their project. Dianetics, the modern science of mental health, is the first book to undergo this steel-bound transformation. The etching process begins with laser printing the text onto clear film. The film is then inspected at 100 times magnification. The adhesion of the film to the metal plate is accomplished in a space with precise lighting control. The etching process itself is entirely automated. Each plate travels through 50 feet of machinery, where it is acid etched front and back and thoroughly cleaned. And when the process is complete, only 15 thousandths of an inch of steel remains. Etched plates are cut into individual sheets using a hydraulic punch press with 100 tons of pressure. 13 times the crushing force at the deepest part of the world's oceans, the Mariana Trench. Then they are given a fine brushing using a 3-foot belt traveling more than 1,500 revolutions per minute. And finally, each plate is chemically cleaned to remove contaminants and produce a pristine finish. Just this single copy of Dianetics weighs more than 100 pounds. Even exposed to the most brutal elements, these newly minted metal editions have a lifespan of over 12,000 years. In other words, these archival documents could have survived the entirety of recorded human history nearly twice over. But for the archival team, the goal was not simply to delay the effects of time. The goal was to conquer it. Up next, time capsules and atmospherically controlled vaults. The church's archival project shatters through the barriers to eternity.